Dimension 4 coming very soon to Marvel Strike Force, but a lot of players are not even done with Dark Dimension 3. So in this video, I am giving you my recommendations of the bare minimum essential characters and their T4s to get you through this mode in a reasonable amount of time. And if you're ready to find out the most efficient way to get through Dark Dimension 3, guys, find that like button and you know what to do. Let's go smash it.
ValleyFlyin.
What is up, Valley Maniacs? ValleyFlyin here. I am back. Welcome to the channel. Dark Dimension 4 coming to Marvel Strike Force with a very big reward of Dr. Doom. Now, we don't know his kit, but I am fully expecting it to be very strong, very overpowered, very similar to Ultron. So big reward there. And if you are like myself, you want to start planning now, saving your resources, saving your orange gear so that you can take these characters up to gear tier 15 as soon as possible, which means to do that, you want to invest as little as possible in Dark Dimension 3. And that is what we are talking about here. So in this video, I'm giving you my recommendations of the 7 characters that I think are going to get you through Dark Dimension 3 with a good balance of the minimal amount of resources spent and getting through that mode in a reasonable amount of time. Plus, I'm giving you my recommendations on which T4s I think are essential for this game mode with those characters. Now, there are some legendary characters here, so you need to be playing for a little while before you get to this, but I think that's kind of the point of Dark Dimension 3. It's more for end-game players. One of the things I was discussing yesterday with Schuberger is how many people actually have passed Dark Dimension 3, finished this game mode. I'm not one of them, but thanks to you guys on the Discord, I got this screenshot sent by Pasha and Terry. Just finished Dark Dimension 3 this morning, and he is ranked 1530 now. So right around 1530-ish or so is the amount of people that have finished Dark Dimension 3. Now, obviously, if you're watching this in the future, there's probably a little more, but not a lot of people. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to give you my recommendations of these characters. Let's go into my roster and check out who I am recommending. All right, guys, so here are the characters that I am recommending for Dark Dimension 3 to get you through that mode in a reasonable amount of time, but also with the minimal amount of investment, going in with that mindset of I want to save as much orange gear, as much T4s as possible in preparation for Dark Dimension 4. And those 7 characters are Colossus, Phoenix for those global nodes, Hela, Ebony Maw, and Minerva for the cosmic nodes, and Symbiote SpiderMan and Carnage for those city nodes. Now, if getting through this with a minimal amount of investment is not as important to you, don't worry. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions that you can also build up that'll help you clear Dark Dimension 3 with a little quicker time, but it's going to require more resources and might slow you down for Dark Dimension 4. So these are the bare minimum. So let's go in and talk about these characters and talk about why I'm recommending them and the T4 recommendations. And there's 3 very, very important characters because they do damage based on the percent of the enemy's health. And that is Phoenix, Minerva, and Ebony Maw. And if you have access to these characters, I would highly recommend building them up for Dark Dimension 3 and possibly even for Dark Dimension 4, because I'm assuming, like Dark Dimension 2, like Dark Dimension 3, they're going to have a very insane health pool, and doing percentage-based damage based on these characters is probably going to be important for that mode as well. So it's probably going to help you with the next mode. So I don't think the next Dark Dimension. So I don't think you're going to be wasting your resources by investing in these characters. So let's talk about Phoenix. Very, very good character, and help me get through those unlimited nodes or those no requirement nodes, those first 4, and the global nodes. And we got 2 characters that we're pretty much talking about right here. We have normal Phoenix right here, and if we go to her passive right here, and we will also see the kit for Dark Phoenix. And if we're looking at one move, one T4 that I think is the most important, it's going to be this special. And it's not as important when you are in a normal Phoenix form, but let me move my camera here actually, because so you can see that T4, but boom, if we move that, you see that this T4 is stealing 5% extra health from the enemies. Before that, it's only 15% health, which is still pretty good. But that extra 5% is going to make a difference in the long run, because this is not a 1 day, 2 day thing. This is a multiple day thing. So that 5% is going to add up over time. So this is probably the most important T4 for Phoenix. Next one that I want to talk about is this passive. Now, you're gonna do some things with this passive, but one thing that you're gonna do is get defense down for 2 turns as soon as she spawns. This can be very important, especially against enemies that are not, that don't have a lot of resistance that's going to resist this. So very important. But let's go back to normal Phoenix, because this is also very important for normal Phoenix. She's going to get more max health for herself and X-Men allies, and I am recommending Colossus for this. So both of them are going to be affected by this passive, and more damage for her and Colossus as well. So this is going to increase her damage, increase her damage of her ultimate. Not as much on the special when she's in Dark Phoenix form, but it's going to increase the ultimate Dark Phoenix, and that is an honorable mentions. If you want to do this one, this is not one of my essential ones for this character, just for this game mode. If you're using her outside of this game mode, this is a very good T4, but just for Dark Dimension 3, I don't think this is essential. I like this, that you're clearing all positive effects when she's in Phoenix, the normal Phoenix form, but as my experience, you're not in Phoenix form a lot. Most of the time you're spent in Dark Phoenix form. So if we look at what this does, it's going to get extra damage, 50% damage to all enemies, but also clearing all positive effects, which is very important. Not as much for Dark Dimension 3, but if you're using her outside of this game mode, very, very good skill. The more damage and all positive effects instead of 3, I think that makes a very, very, very big difference. So this is one that you could do, will help you outside of this game mode, but I don't think you need that ultimate. We're just talking about Dark Dimension 3. Let's go back and talk about Colossus, because the reason I am recommending Colossus is because Phoenix is your key character there, and he's going to help to keep her alive just a little bit longer, and he actually is pretty T4 intensive. He has a bunch of good ones. The one that I'm going to recommend first, though, is going to be his passive, and this is a wall of text, guys. We don't even see everything here, but he's going to get defense up for 2 turns instead of 1, which I think is very important to help him survive, because the longer he survives, the longer Dark Phoenix is going to survive, and that is more opportunity for you to get off her special and potentially her ultimate if everything goes well in that battle. So defense up is also going to help. That charged is also going to help. He's going to get a little more attack, 25% more attack damage if when he's countering when he is charged. I think that's a good move for his basic or for his passive, excuse me, as well. The other one is that is very good, and I'm not sure which order to do these in, because I like both of them, and I would actually recommend both of them. His basic and his ultimate, they both do very good things. Let's talk about his basic first, though. His basic, you're applying offense down for 2 turns. The damage that he applies is nice. Let me move my camera again. I'll probably just leave it right here. The offense down is nice, or the damage is nice. Offense down for 2 turns instead of 1 just helps him to survive a little bit more. And this is on his basic, which means that when he is counterattacking, he is going to apply offense down for 2 turns every time he is counterattacking. Of course, if he has enough focus to get this on the character, but very, very good. Not all characters, when you upgrade their basic, it's going to translate through their assist and counterattack. Colossus is one character that it would. And let's talk about his ultimate, because this is also a very good move, increasing the duration of his positive effects by 3, up to maximum 5 instead of 2. Before this T4, you're going just for 2. Now you get it up to 3, and you're increasing the defense ups. You're also getting these death proofs. The T4 doesn't help with the death proofs, but you're increasing the potential stealth that Phoenix can apply on him, and that defense up. So very, very good stuff. Helps him to survive, and in turn helps Phoenix to survive. So very, very good characters. And I will talk about some honorable mentions, because 2 characters in Dark Dimension 3, yeah, it's not going to be very fun. It's going to take a while. So there are some characters that I do recommend for global. There's a lot of good global characters, but let's move on to cosmic, because we're going for bare minimum, guys. If you're really looking to conserve your resources for Dark Dimension 4, first character I want to talk about is, let's go with Ebony Maw first, because I think he's a very, very good character, not just in this game mode, but outside of this game mode. And as you can see, I've done 3 T4s on this character, but I'm only recommending 1 for Dark Dimension 3. This basic, not very important. I did this one because I'm using him a lot. If you're using him a lot, this might be valuable outside of Dark Dimension 3, but if we're talking about Dark Dimension 3, not very valuable. Same thing goes for his ultimate. Now, if you are using him in a full Black Order team, this is an awesome move, one of the best T4s you could put into that Black Order, but he's not going to be on a Black Order team in Dark Dimension 3, so this is not really benefiting him. Getting that extra speed bar per extra 5% speed bar for him, and reducing the speed bar of enemies per Black Order ally. You're not having a lot of Black Order allies, so it's pretty much just him. I don't think this is that valuable when we're just talking in terms of Dark Dimension 3. Now, which one I do think is valuable for Dark Dimension 3 is his special. And this is valuable in Dark Dimension 3 and outside of Dark Dimension 3 as well. Very, very good move. And the reason you're getting defense up for 2 turns instead of 1. And with the high damage and the high health pool of your enemies in Dark Dimension 3, getting that 50% damage reduction is going to be very, very important. And this does have a long cooldown, but this is very important. Now, his ultimate, we talked about the T4 recommendation. This is the move that's going to do a lot of healing for your team and a lot of damage. So this is an important move. I just don't think that T4 is going to help a lot in Dark Dimension 3. So only one T4 recommendation for Ebony Maw. Let's move on to Minerva. And this is an easy one, guys. As you can see, I have done exactly zero of her T4s. Only one I might recommend, and this is, I don't even know if I would recommend it. Extra 5% speed bar every time an enemy kills. That translates to 50% speed or 50 speed ticks out of that 1,000. So not a huge difference, but if you're getting a lot of enemies, especially if you're calling a lot of enemies, or if your allies, are dying, and you're calling a lot of minion allies and they're dying a lot, this could be worth it. But as you can see, I have not invested in this. This is a luxury pick if you have like an abundance of T4s, and saving resources is not a concern to you. But outside of that, no, I would invest nothing in Minerva as far as T4s. All right, and guys, let's move on to the Goddess of Death, Hela. And I am recommending her. She has a good kit, but the main reason I'm recommending her is because of Greg. Not only is Greg an extra character on the field that gets revived or gets resummoned every time he dies, he's going to take a lot of heat off the rest of your team, especially if the enemies are using their big moves on Greg. Awesome stuff. Now, for Hela, as you can see, I have 3 T4s invested in her right now, but there's actually only one that I'm recommending as a must-have for Dark Dimension 3, and that is her ultimate. Very, very good move. And let me move my camera here. Let's talk about the damage. 50% damage to the primary, secondary targets. That is the standard for a T4. So just the damage alone, it's a pretty standard basic T4. But the reason I'm recommending this, instead of spreading 2 negative effects from the primary target to all secondary targets, you're spreading 4. And that could be very, very big, not just in this game mode, but in other game modes as well. So I am recommending this one, not just for the damage, but the additional negative effects that it's going to spread. There's a couple honorable mentions for her T4s. If you're not saving resources, I would eventually do these as well. The first is her passive, not going to give her too much benefit just in Dark Dimension 3. Pretty much the only thing that's getting is for her is 5% extra max health. It's also going to affect the max health of Greg, which is a good thing. But this one is a very good T4 for that Asgardian team. If you're using an Asgardian team, not as good for Dark Dimension 3. So this is not a recommendation I have, but for Dark Dimension 3, but a very good T4 nonetheless. Kind of like that Ebony Maw ultimate, but her special is another good one. And this is one you might want to consider because instead of applying Disrupted for 1 turn, you're also getting that damage, but you're applying Disrupted for 2 turns, which is very big, especially if the enemy you're applying that Disrupted to almost has their health bar almost filled up. That attack is not going to be wasted. So this is a very good one. And for Dark Dimension 2, I would actually recommend a special over the passive, but both of them, the special and the passive, are both honorable mentions, not as part of the requirements that I'm recommending for this game mode. All right, the last 2 characters as far as requirements in my mind are the 2 city characters. Symbiote SpiderMan, awesome character. And as you can see, I put all the T4s in him, and you can make the argument that all of them are very, very important. But as far as what I'm recommending for this game mode, not going to recommend his special. I'm going to recommend his passive first. So let's talk about that one. And if I move my camera again, you're getting 20% extra max health for self, Hero Spider-Verse, and symbiote allies. And if you're taking Carnage and if you're taking Venom, this is going to affect all 3 of these characters with 1 T4. So extra max health, very, very good. And this does a lot of extra stuff, but the T4 just gives them the max health. Awesome passive. Next one I would recommend for Symbiote Spider-Man is his ultimate. And the reason I recommend is extra damage to primary and secondary targets, and 40%, a little lower than just a normal standard T4 upgrade for the AoE attack, but applying slow to all targets for 2 turns instead of 1. Very, very valuable. This is a turn-based game, so the more turns you can take over your opponents is going to be valuable. So yeah, reducing the enemy speed bar or reducing their speed generation by 50%. Very, very good stuff, especially with the high damage of these enemies. Getting this on an AoE attack is very, very good. And then his basic. I actually got 3 recommendations for Symbiote Spider-Man. His basic, his ultimate, and his passive. So a lot of stuff here. All right. 20% extra damage to primary and secondary targets, not that great, but defense down for 2 turns. That's 50% extra damage that you're applying to the enemies. So I got 3 on here. I like this one. There's a lot of good stuff. And if you could do this special as well, it's some extra damage and applying the bleeds. I like this one, increasing the duration of all their negative effects by 1, but you don't need a T4 for that. So this is a good one. And if you have a lot of T4s, you have a lot of resources, definitely do all of these. But if you're just going bare minimum, basic, ultimate, and passive for symbiote SpiderMan, and boom, last but not least is Carnage. And as you can see, 1 T4 in Carnage, and that is this one, filling the speed bar by an extra 10%. Without this, when an enemy drops below 25% health, you're filling the speed bar for him and symbiote allies by 20%. With this, 30%. That is very, very big. So this is an important one for getting the rest of that symbiotes, that turn meter that they need when they're dropping enemies below. Now, I did see the argument, they have a very high health pool and you're not dropping enemies that much below the 25% health in Dark Dimension 2 and 3. And yes, I agree with that. You're not dropping them below as much, but for everybody that has been through Dark Dimension 3 in that city node, they say Carnage is the most valuable character, and this is the most valuable T4 for that character. So those are my recommendations. Those are the 7 characters and 11 T4s that I'm recommending. But let's say you have a lot more resources and want to clear Dark Dimension 3 even quicker, guys. Let's talk about some honorable mentions. So let's talk about that global node first. A couple characters that I do want to talk about. First one is going to be Yo-Yo. Now, this is kind of redundant. I invested in Yo-Yo before I invested in Colossus. Was very, very valuable to that team. Once I had Colossus on the team, the best part about her kit, her passive, applying offense down to enemies before they take their turn, goes away because you have another protector on the field. So not as valuable, but still a character that I did want to mention because she does have a very good passive. And if you're going to pair her with Black Bolt in other game modes, works very, very well. Also want to mention Taskmaster. If we scroll all the way down, haven't invested too much in him, but he has a very, very good kit and would be a good asset to a Dark Dimension team. That global node does a lot of things, blinds and just a lot of assists, does some good things. X23 is another good character, kind of like the symbiotes, can help to get you through some of the content right there. Now, she also has her speed bar filled. She fills hers by 40% though, and this is when an enemy drops below 50% health. So if you want to pair her with that symbiotes outside of this game mode would work very well. Obviously, you can't use her because the symbiotes are city and she is global, but for the global nodes, I think she can be a valuable asset. Now, because she's a newer character, same with Taskmaster, I would probably only invest in these characters if you have enough gold and red swords to make it worth your time. Other than that, I'd probably save my resources. Other character I want to talk about, and she does a couple good things, is our legendary gal Shuri right here. Defense up on last for 2 turns. This is a very, very valuable move. Kind of redundant with some of these other characters, but she does this very well. And she has the healing. If you have a lot of extra resources, Shuri can be very, very valuable to you. I built up Ultron, so I do want to talk about him because he is very, very resource intensive. He takes a lot of these orange gear pieces, but he doesn't have a lot of value in Dark Dimension 3, but I do want to mention him because I built him up and he did help me a lot in Dark Dimension 3. I wouldn't say he helped me every single day, which is why he's not one of my bare minimum requirements, but he does help a lot and he helped me a lot outside of this game mode as well. He is one of my Ultimate 7 staples right now. So he does deserve an honorable mentions, but there are some issues with him, especially with his cooldowns and the high amount of resources that he does take. And then the last character all the way down here, not released in the game yet, but maybe you're watching this in the future and she is in the game. Emma Frost does some good things. She has a team-wide dispel with a very low cooldown and she reduces the enemy speed stat permanently. So it does some good things here. And if you have the resources and like these other newer characters, if you have the gold and red swords to make it worth that investment, I probably would also invest in Emma Frost. Let's talk about this guy though, Black Bolt, because I actually started this list with 8 recommended characters and he was the 8th. He's a very, very good character, one of the best characters in the game. But as I was thinking about it, how valuable was he to my to my Dark Dimension 3 run? He provided some value and helped definitely shaved off many days off of Dark Dimension 3. But if I were going for the bare minimum requirements, he probably does not meet that standard, but he does deserve an honorable mention because he's one of the best characters in the game. Definitely is going to help shave some days off your Dark Dimension 3 run. And if we're talking about T4s for him, and I do want to mention his T4s, is his passive. He adds extra damage to his burp, extra damage all around, extra damage to villain enemies, and 20% extra max health. Very, very good T4. So if there's another character, if there's an 8th character that you want to build, this is probably your 8th character. You will probably want to use this T4 and his ultimate. This is a huge damage move. Let me move my camera right here, and you can see 120 damage, 120% extra damage on an AoE attack. The standard is 50. This is way above that. So this is a huge, huge value in terms of T4. So I like this one as well. But let's get out of here and talk about the recommendations for the city nodes, because that's probably a hard node. First one I want to mention right here is Squirrel Girl. And kind of like my other recommendations of the newer characters, you don't have these stars, the gold stars and the red stars to back it up. Probably not going to be that valuable because she's a squishy character, but she has this real low cooldown, 3-turn cooldown for a team-wide dispel. Very, very strong move, and she does some other things, manipulating speed bar and things like that. So very, very good character. So she does deserve a mention, but I'm only recommending her as an honorable mention if you have the gold and red stars, which I don't, which is why I'm not building her. Other characters that I do want to mention as well are some other city characters, and I think these are staple characters. First one is Ghost Rider, because he's an awesome character. That retribution that he does, and just damaging characters that kill your team. Awesome, awesome stuff. Lots of bleeds, and goes very good synergy with the rest of the symbiotes. And we got to mention the last symbiote character, Venom. Awesome, awesome kid. I haven't put any T4s into him yet. If you really want to do one for Venom, I think his special is his best move, but awesome, awesome character. And those are my recommendations, guys. Do you agree with these 7 characters and these 11 T4s? Let me know in the comments. Is there someone else that needs to be added to this list, or can we take somebody off and get even more minimalistic with this list? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe to the channel, smash on that like button, join the notification squad, guys, ring that bell. I will see you guys next time. There's some links down below that support the channel, Worldwide Nutrition, BlueStacks, all that good stuff, guys. I will see you guys next time. Make sure you check me out on social media and give me a Hulk fist bump before you go. ValleyFlyin out.